kind introduction. I would like to thank ILSI North America Research Foundation and also ILSI South Asia region for giving the opportunity to ASEANFOODS to share with you our developments in food data development and new developments in recent years. I have no conflict of interest to declare on the material that I will present in the next 30 minutes or so. So let me share with you a little bit about ASEANFOODS, its establishment, and next go on to its main activities, past activities, present activities, and what we look for in the future. A snapshot of what the national food composition databases are doing, what the countries are busy doing, collecting data. And the point number 4, look at how ILSI, Southeast Asia region, is collaborating with ASEANFOODS and injecting some new activities into ASEANFOODS in getting momentum and getting ASEANFOODS to work further on. And finally, 2 slides on my concluding thoughts. ASEANFOODS and its activities is set up as one of the networks, and upon the call from establishment in foods and like many other networks, we were established in 1986, soon after establishment in foods. And this is a history of the different coordinators, 1986, and Institute of Nutrition, Mahidol University has been playing a key role in this development of ASEANFOODS, and not only just Thai foods, but also ASEANFOODS food composition databases in the region. They are really significant in that, starting over 1986, and then recently, until recent years, Dr. Prabhasri was the coordinator. She felt that after 30 years there, she should let go and let new blood take over, and Dr. Kanchit took over in 2016. She still acts as an advisor, like me as an oldie, to make some noise sometimes, basically that. Member countries are 10 member countries, very activities, very development of databases, extremely varied, ranging from Brunei, nothing much happening, to very active Thailand, Malaysia, Philippines, and so on. So this is what ASEANFOODS is. And the objectives, of course, like any other in-foods network, to promote and support the development, dissemination of quality food composition data. And as Dr. Ruth alluded to, look at biodiversity and contribute knowledge and information towards improving food and nutrition security, especially in the region. That's our website. So that is then briefly the establishment of ASEANFOODS, a little bit of historical perspective. Move on to quite a few slides on different activities. I'll move on quite fast in this. We do not have time to go into detail, but do contact me. If you wish to have this PowerPoint part, do let me know the past, the present, and what we are looking forward to in the future. So a few activities. Number 1 is looking at training activities, helping Bangkok, Thailand itself, and also other labs in the region, and participated with Asia Pacific countries like Australia, Indonesia, Thailand, and doing training courses. And FoodCom course, organized a FoodCom course in 2002 in Thailand, and also participated in FoodCom course in Near East Asia and Oceania Foods. Number 2, strengthening laboratory performance. And I remember when I started Malaysian food program in the 1980s, we participated in this, and I was very pleased that ASEANFOODS was there. It's very lonely work doing our food composition data, not just talking about money, nobody wants to fund you. It's a very lonely piece of work, and ASEANFOODS were really significant establishment for me. We could talk to each other, and Dr. Prabhasri especially. So we participated in these proficiency testing programs. And the development of ASEAN food reference material sent around to the labs in Thailand, sent around to the labs in other countries in the region. And we organized the 8th International Food Data Conference, 2009. And you may recognize Professor Naren Scrimshaw there, and the icon not just in nutrition, but in foodcom database. Then the proprietary and others helped in organizing various international food data conferences like 2011, 2013, 15, 13, and the recent one just before the ICN and this meeting. We published the ASEAN Manual of Food Analysis. We sat down together, compile the different methods that we have in the different countries, and compile into a manual that everyone can use, share amongst the different laboratories in the region, because these were tested methods done by the different laboratories in the region. We did something which we thought was quite silly but very useful, extremely difficult work to do, and I must thank Professor and of course Babar Bellingham, who gave tremendous input into this piece of work. So ASEAN Food Composition Database, compilation of several countries' database in the region was published in 2000, and we further tweaked the database, refined the database, an online version and available 2014. And number 8, we worked with FAO INFOODS, Dr. Bellingham at that time, and now with Dr. Ruth in recent years, in various activities of INFOODS and foodcom work in FAO. That is done very quickly, the past activities, and I will now share with you a few slides on what the countries are doing in terms of developing their own national food composition databases. So Brunei Darussalam, as I mentioned, they do not have a working group on foodcom program, and they feel that they're a small country, so they use database from Malaysia and Singapore, where culture is very different, dietary patterns are very similar, culture very similar, dietary patterns are very similar, and language is very similar to Malaysia. So they use our databases. Indonesia, I recall there was a database some years ago, late 1990s, but they were quiet for some years, and recently I hear that the government has given some money, some funding to do this work, and we all lament the lack of funding for this year, and believe it's extremely difficult to get money for this. And in 2016, the government gave some money, and they are now reactivating and forming a working group together to compile a first national food composition database. And ILSI Southeast Asia region provided some technical support and financial support to organize a training workshop for this Indonesian group. And they hope to compile a first database by the end of 2018. I thought that was rather ambitious, but let's see. In our PDR, they also work on this, and I believe they are trying to come up with one database by the end of 2017. Now Malaysia, I started this in 1980s, and several revisions of the database were available, and the one that is still in use in 1997, published by my group, and after that, the Ministry of Health took over and get another group, bigger group this time, working with different universities, different research institutions, and now they are looking at a web-based system. And data is still being generated and compiled as we over the years, and we have yet to see a finalized database being published. So we are still using the 1997 hard copy of the database, and looking very seriously into improving methodologies, following up with new methodologies, validated methodologies, looking at new nutrients to analyze and new foods to analyze. Philippines is another one very active country doing food composition database, and they had one in 1997 around the time that I published the Malaysian database, and their web-based foodcom database should be ready by end of this year. And I believe they are doing very good work in the Philippines on this. Now Thailand, of course, the most active country in generating and dissemination of foodcom database, and mainly due to Dr. Papasri and Dr. Kanchi's group at Institute of Nutrition Mahidol University. So a very impressive database, hard copy was published September 2015, then online version in several months after that, and looking at further developing more nutrients and more foods into this database. And they initiated, I believe the first in this region, the collection of branded foods that we spoke about earlier on, and Professor Donowski mentioned also just now. We will hear more of this later on. Vietnam also started foodcom work very early and has been publishing quite actively in Vietnam foodcom database, and the deputy coordinator of ASEANFOODS is from Vietnam. Okay, then that's a very quick snapshot of the work on food composition database, and I really believe that each country have to persuade their government to invest money into establishing a working group. Not FAO, not ASEANFOODS, no international agency going to give you that money to start. They can help you in some ways, but certainly not give you, it's a bottomless pit, some people call it. How much money you're going to need to do this food composition database? The government must really see the need and fund the food composition database. So the next bit, quite a bit of that information I'll share with you, how ILSI, Southeast Asia region is now collaborating with ASEANFOODS and helping to reactivate some activities in the ASEANFOODS network. So the collaboration, of course, to improve overall quality, availability of foodcom database in the ASEAN region. I will share with you two activities that we did. Workshop one was looking at evaluation system for looking at evaluation of foodcom databases in the region. So that was in 2015, and in Mahidol University in 2015, and we had participation from 6 countries there from ASEAN region, and of course ILSI key personnel were there, and looking at developing a guideline for quality evaluation of the existing food composition databases in the region. Existing databases now, how good are they in terms of different quality criteria? So we were in that workshop in 2015. We sat down and drafted a ASEAN guideline for FCDB, quality evaluation, and we agreed on 12 criteria to be used for this evaluation. And we came up with we discussed and came up with a consensus list of we call essential nutrients that we hope countries in the region should analyze and have it available in our databases in the region, in view of the nutritional problems in the region, in view of the needs of the policymakers and programs in the countries, governments in the region. So we prioritize current health problems and issues, and for example, we focus a lot on fatty acids, saturated and polyunsaturated, total sugars, in view of the rising NCDs in our region. These are the different criteria. We will not have time to go through here, but we can share with you these criteria. So after that workshop in 2015, we went back, all the generators went back and compilers went back, and we were asked to use this database we were asked to tweak further, refine further the evaluation guideline that we developed, and to use it to evaluate our current databases. And each country was asked to apply this guideline. And we hope that, I'm not sure what's the latest status, to submit these ASEAN guidelines to Dr. Ruth for consideration to include in the INFOODS guideline for evaluation of available food composition databases or food composition tables. In the follow-up workshop in 2016, we again met in Bangkok and facilitated by ILSI, Southeast Asia region, and coordinated by Dr. Papasri and Dr. Kanchi. And we look at what next step should we do to improve quality of food composition data in the region. Actually, we had 9 countries present, quite impressive. And to have almost all the 10 ASEAN countries there, and these were generators, compilers, So some countries had 2 or 3 people coming, and that was a very useful meeting, I thought. And ILSI senior officers were there, Dr. Jeff Smith were there, and we had representatives from the food industry, precisely what Dr. Donowski mentioned about working with the food industry, getting some important data from the private sector. So what were the main activities we followed on the roundtable in 2015, looking at ASEAN guideline for evaluation? So countries went back and evaluated their databases. So what was the outcome of this evaluation? How do the FTDBs fare using this guideline? Then we talk about improving quality, what kind of work do we further need to do, and talk about organizing a food course, especially for countries like Laos, Cambodia, who are struggling to improve their quality or laboratory practices in doing food composition data work. And looking at maybe possibility of doing another ASEAN food composition database. The last one was till 2000. It's already like 19 years already. Is it possible to do another one like that? Discuss other activities. So look at the guideline that guideline for evaluation that we established in 2015. We look at it and use it to evaluate 8 national FCTs or FCDBs, and we identify the gaps of food and nutrients that are lacking in the various national composition databases. So this is then the outcome of the evaluation. The Malaysian new FCDB, the Thai FCDB, and the other FCTs that were fairly old. Yeah. Then the activity number 2 was looking at what else the ASEAN food need to do to improve the quality. So we look at the procedure of selecting foods, talk about sampling methods, and what are the nutrients that we should focus on, and looking at protocols of borrowing, compiling data from other sources. We have to admit that we cannot analyze all the foods that the people consume, so we may have to borrow data, at least in the interim. What is the proper procedure to borrow data from other food composition databases? And ILSI was there, and we talk about developing or getting food companies to collaborate with us and use their branded food products. Data is already available in these branded food products. Can the countries in the region collaborate with them and use the data instead of reanalyzing everything in thousands and thousands of data that needs to be analyzed? So how to collaborate with the food industry? And we agreed to start this work in 3 countries, Malaysia, Philippines, and Thailand, develop a protocol, approach the companies in a transparent manner, see what they expect from us, what we expect from them. Can we have a common agreement on how to make this data available to us? It is not so simple as one wish it to be. Third area of work, food course, talking about can we plan for another course to help the other countries, the countries which are struggling with improving their lab methodologies. A lot of money is required, and we're still discussing with ILSI and other potential partners how to sponsor this kind of course. ASEAN food composition database, we dream of having another ASEAN food com database. The first one, people asked for it. People want to use ASEAN database. But we realize that countries are still finalizing their databases. Maybe we should put off that idea for a while. When countries finish their database, like Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand finished already. So more or less finishing their work, maybe in 2018 or 2019, we can revisit this idea of publishing an ASEAN food com database. And we are talking to ILSI, Southeast Asia region, how we could invite potential partners to collaborate in this effort. Now, ILSI, Southeast Asia region also helped us in doing a review, the status of all the ASEAN, all the food com databases available in the region, analyzing the databases from different countries, and is now available as a PDF online. So last 2 slides, Madam Chair, and share my thought concluding from this presentation. There's general agreement amongst the 10 member countries that it is important that ASEAN foods continue to be a strong network to give support to the other countries in developing. As I mentioned, it's very lonely work. You work alone in your own country, and we really need to support each other, nudge each other in doing more work and share experiences and methodologies in this work. So ASEANFOODS need to continue. Yeah? And this is the data is very much required. We already spoke about this. Yeah? We already have a lot of guesswork, a lot of policy and programs in my country based on a lot of guesswork. And we already talked about poor quality coming from dietary recalls, already poor quality from the food items. What we added on, poor food composition database, that we're having really poor quality of nutrient intake of people in the region. So really, food com database is extremely important to guide governments in establishing policies and programs to tackle undernutrition, as well as a very scary overweight and obesity in many countries in the region, including my country. So ASEANFOODS need technical support from INFOODS FAO and financial support from national and international agencies for the main activities to be conducted. I don't know how we're going to get that, but by talking in conferences like this, in workshops like this, we can make a good progress, I believe, in collaborating, we already spoke about, and sharing resources and experience. So I already mentioned this, and each country must establish its own food composition program. Yeah? Because some foods are so peculiar to your own country, and as I mentioned, you cannot expect international agencies to give you all the money that you need to do this work. It is impossible. You must own that, you must be proud to own that food composition program. And you cannot shirk that responsibility. I'm saying this to the governments. And ASEANFOODS can assist to strengthen the competency of the staff in the different countries in the region, organizing food com calls, and when we already have another food com database in the region. And I have already mentioned some countries actively updating their food com database. Some countries are still lagging very much behind. Yeah? So when we are quite ready, then we can talk about another compilation of ASEAN food com database. So I hope that with the collaboration and support of ILSI, and especially ILSI, Services Region and Mr. Jasmine is here, and we have able to conclude some of the activities. However, we hope that more work can go on, and we can have further workshops, facilitate various workshops and bring together the different compilers, generators, and continue to discuss on work on CDBs in ASEAN region. So we hope that this project to compile branded food products can proceed as we had planned. Thank you very much.